Good afternoon. Welcome to Community Matters here on Santa Cruz Voice. We are privileged today to have with us a couple of guests. Our first guest in the first hour will be via telephone Miss Kim DeSerpa. She is calling in. She's taking a break from her job at the hospital, bless her heart, campaigning and working at the same time. And she'll be here joining us. She's already on the line and waiting. And then our second hour will be Kris Kirby, a local activist, small business owner, and she'll be talking with us about local measures and candidates. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome you all again to Community Matters here on Santa Cruz Voice. I'm your host for today, Becky Steinbruner, and we have with us Kim DeSerpa. Kim, hello.
Hi, Becky. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you for carving out time from your busy schedule, campaigning for 2nd District County Supervisor and holding down a full-time job. And you're also on the Pajaro Valley School District Board, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm in year 14. I've been serving a long time there.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service. Kim, please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are running for 2nd District County Supervisor.
Sure. Thanks, Becky. Well, I think many people know my story, but for those who don't know, I grew up in the Salinas Valley, so I grew up in the region. My mom was a single mom. My dad had a tragic accident, which left my family in poverty. And so we struggled and scrimped like many families do, and I started working when I was very young to help my family make ends meet. I ended up going to Humboldt State University, got a bachelor's degree in social work, and then went on for a master's degree at the top school in the nation for social work.
Congratulations.
I'm a licensed clinical, thank you. It was a long time ago. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I started my career in public child welfare and public health, and then moved into the hospital setting, and I've worked in healthcare probably for the last 25 years. So today I'm a manager at Salinas Valley Health Medical Center, formerly Salinas Valley Memorial Hospital, where I supervise teams of nurses and social workers who work in the case management department, and we try to get patients out of the hospital safely and with resources to mitigate any further risk. So I'm really proud of the work that I do.
You're helping a lot of people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Why do you want to run for county supervisor? What compels you to do this?
Yeah, well, I'm, at my core, I'm somebody who cares a lot about having many voices at the table, and there hasn't been a woman on the board for a very long time since Ellen Peary. I think she was elected 16 years ago.
Yes.
So I really wanted to ensure that we had a woman's voice at the table after all these years. So that's really the primary reason I ran. But, the other thing is I when I see problems, I try to fix them. That's why I ran in the first place for the school board. There was a lot of things I felt could be improved in the district, and I feel very proud of my record. At Pajaro Valley, it's the third largest employer in the entire county with a $331 million budget, and I'm happy to say I balanced that budget with my board year over year over year, and sometimes we've had very difficult decisions to make. But I feel very well prepared to govern at the county level because of my past experience.
You understand how things work, but you also can see potential to make it better.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have an admiration for the hard-working staff behind the scenes who actually do all of the work. The board sets the policy, but it's the staff that carries out that policy.
Yeah.
I understand what that's like, and I understand how sometimes a fresh perspective is needed to do things maybe a different way or change the culture in some way to make things work better for the people you're serving. And on the school board, it's kids, and for children and youth, everything is urgent because they can't wait. So to the extent that we've improved things so much for the Pajaro Valley Unified School District, for all the kids and all the families there. I feel very proud of that work. So I'd like to bring some of that success that I've achieved there to my role as a supervisor on the board. So, people are rightly, upset about a lot of things that aren't being met in the county. Their basic needs for infrastructure are just not being met, and so people are very upset with the county.
The roads.
Yeah,
the roads are a big
to name
deal.
One.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is. That's one of the number one things people talk to me about is, can you please resurface my road? It hasn't been resurfaced in 50 years, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to do better in that regard.
Mm-hmm. How would you do better? What would you change in that regard?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think there needs to be a reprioritization of the needs of the county, and we need to really look at putting roads first. And it's a huge public safety issue. It's for people to get out to escape any kind of wildland fires, or for people on their bikes, or people just trying to walk, trip and fall, or people get dumped off their bikes if they hit a pothole. Mm-hmm. It's a big problem. I know I just noted that the Biden administration is releasing a bunch of money for roads in the rural area. So, obviously that's something that I would, direct staff to go after, or at least, advocate for that with the board, mm-hmm. to go after any kind of extra money we could get to repair our roads.
Mm-hmm. And I also just, right before I came here, I was at the county library and was checking up on a grant that I had written. My project didn't get funded, but I saw projects that did, and one of them is to the County Fire Safe Council for improving the evacuation routes in the SoCal area, Old San Jose Road and those areas, rural roads. So that's good news. It's quite a bit of money, almost $1 million. So that would be good.
Who was giving that grant, Becky?
That was CAL FIRE, Wildfire Protection Prevention Grant.
Great.
Wildfire Prevention Grant. It's an annual award they do, and every county gets something. Santa Cruz County got 2 projects awarded. The other project awarded was for up at UCSC to do a lot of defensible space work around the university infrastructure. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations to the county.
It is. It's good, and but we always need more, don't we?
Yeah. Yes. The needs are many.
I live in the 2nd District, so I'm pretty familiar with what the boundaries of that are, but our listeners may not. Could you describe for us the kind of the general setting of the 2nd District in Santa Cruz County?
Sure. It's quite a big district. I think it has more miles of roads than any of the other districts in the county. So I heard somebody say that if you stretched out the miles of road just in District 2, it would go all the way to Denver, Colorado. It's just a tremendous amount of road area. Yeah. So I have a little slice of District 2 has a little slice of Capitola in it. It has all of Greater Aptos, Rio Del Mar, Seacliff, La Selva Beach, Corralitos, and then goes all the way down into the Pajaro Valley, just this side of Green Valley Road. Sort of the Pajaro River is the border there. So we extend all the way from the coast, so that includes also Pajaro Dunes, and that all the San Andreas area, all the way up to the summit. So it's quite a large area.
Yes, and very diverse. You've got city, and you've also got very rural areas.
That's right.
I have I've attended many county board of supervisor meetings, and I always feel like the rural residents kind of get the short end of the stick. You are a rural resident, aren't you?
I am. I live right up Trail Gulch Road, where I've lived for the last more than 20 years. I'll just say that the rural areas I think they are, and they have definitely felt neglected over the years. From internet connectivity, for years I lived probably 3 miles back on Trail Gulch Road, and I had no ability to have any type of high-speed connection. that wasn't crazy expensive and, horrible to use, super slow. And, I've been bringing this up for years to Cruise.io and to the Board of Supervisors, to Zach, and we've just felt really, really neglected. And now with AT&T saying that they're going to discontinue landlines, a lot of people that live in the rural areas still don't have access to cell phone coverage and to internet. With the internet connectivity is a little bit better because now we have access to Starlink, but the uploading speeds there are not what they should be. So for people that work from home, it's still a very difficult system to use, and it gets expensive. Between our roads being poorly maintained, we just had some visitors. Somebody told me who lives actually down the road from me told me they had visitors in from a different from Europe or somewhere, and they couldn't believe that this was the United States, that this in California, that the roads were so poorly maintained. They felt like they were in a third world country.
Trout Gulch Road gets my vote for one of the roads that really, really needs to be given attention. There are a lot of people that use that road. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many, Becky, to choose from, but like the creek the road right across from my house fell into the creek this year. And I think all of that could have been prevented with just routine road maintenance, and resurfacing and culvert cleaning and that kind of thing.
Have you had a chance to read the recent grand jury report about the county roads?
Sure. They said it was a disgrace. Or they used some kind of word like that.
Well, the piece, it is true, but the piece that kind of got me alarmed was that the county has a policy where they sort of separate the road quality into green for the good ones, mostly within the urban service line, and then the yellow ones that kind of need some attention, and then the red ones that need a lot of attention. And the county intends to focus the resources on the yellow roads and let the red roads continue to go downhill and eventually abandon them. That was stated in the grand jury report, and the grand jury asked the county to let those property owners along those red line roads know that that's what the plan was, so they could, know about that, and their property values in the county is refused. So what would you say about that?
Well, I disagree with that, of course. I mean, I think one of the main issues and problems that we have is just funding it, for one thing. I mean, we only get to keep about, and most people don't know this, between 11 and 13 cents on every property tax dollar that's paid in. So we have a tremendous amount of property taxes being paid in, but most of that money does not stay in the county's general fund. And that's based on an archaic equation that was put into place back in Proposition 13. And, surrounding counties get much, much more money, not just in general fund revenue through property taxes, but, they just have bigger populations. They have the tech industries. There's a lot of sales tax coming into their coffers. We're such a tiny little county, honestly, 29 miles of coastline, right?
Yeah,
and so we need to do a better job of it. Attracting and keeping business so that we could build up some of the revenues. Now, we also have, taxed people, Measure D and Measure K, in both the cities and the unincorporated areas to help pay for some of these road repairs, to assist us in, developing some type of revenue to pay for these road maintenance things. But, I guess Measure K is currently embargoed with a lawsuit. So I think they're still collecting the money for that road maintenance, but it's not usable right now until that lawsuit either concludes or settles. So we look forward to that, actually, because we need the help.
It was also stated during budget time by Mr. Matt Machado. He's the Director of Public Works and Planning. They've consolidated those two departments, that Measure K money for road repair would be used as essentially down payment on the debt for the $95 million that the county had to borrow because a lot of the FEMA projects have not been reimbursed. So they were going to use that Measure K money sort of as collateral against that debt.
Which is such a shame, right? Because the payment, the interest payment, is going to be
huge.
I did see that.
Yeah. There was also Measure G in 2018, another half-cent sales tax, only 12 years long. So it has a sunset date, but it was also supposed to help road repairs, as well as wildfire protection and things. So as a supervisor, how would you hold the local government accountable to the voters to really demonstrate that our tax money is being used to the best that it can be and for the purpose it was promised?
For transparency, just a lot of things need to come before the board via hearings or reports. I think need to come more often, and to keep our foot on the gas pedal. It's not just a once a year thing. A report out. It needs to be maybe every month, or every board meeting, there needs to be a report on how things are going. There just needs to be transparency, and I understand it's not an easy thing to solve because we don't have a lot of the money that we need. But my goal would be to pay down that debt as soon as possible, so that we don't have the ballooning interest rate payments on it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to continue to work with FEMA to unlock a lot of that money.
That's going to be a long
process. Work with our elected officials, like Jimmy Panetta. I mean, they know that this is a problem, but there needs to be more money allocated to FEMA with all of these climate change disasters happening across the nation. It's not enough money.
Yeah. Do you have good relationships set up with, such as Jimmy Panetta and some of those people?
Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, when I was a little girl, we campaigned for Leon Panetta when he was running for Congress. So we've had a long-standing relationship with the Panetta family, and I know Jimmy. My mom actually worked for Jimmy for a little while. She was a congressional aide for Sam Farr for 20 years. And when Jimmy started, she was in the office working for him too. So yeah, we have a great relationship.
That's good. That's an important piece of being an elected official. So
yeah, and I do feel like I have good relationships with all the county supervisors in Monterey County because I grew up in Monterey County, and I know like Luis Alejo, Wendy Root Askew, Glenn Church. I know all these people well, and we work together on issues for the Pajaro area. It's been very helpful.
Good. So you've kind of got your feet in the water already. That's helpful and good to know. What do you think is the greatest challenge for residents and business owners in the 2nd District? Let's start there.
Well, yeah, there's a lot. We already talked about roads. I think we need to build more affordable housing. We're having trouble recruiting and retraining qualified workforce right now in our county, just because it's so expensive to live here that people can't afford it, and they're choosing to take jobs in other communities where things are more affordable. So to the extent that we could kind of push on the housing market to bring people here, make things more affordable, or at least even moderately more affordable, I think we could recruit more qualified workforce. We have student resource officers, one supposedly in each of the comprehensive high schools, and for years we have not had one at Pajaro Valley High School because neither the sheriff nor Watsonville PD can supply that, just because they're so downstaffed.
Wow.
And we're having trouble recruiting law enforcement, recruiting first responders, recruiting doctors. So I do think being able to improve the cost of housing in our area so that we could actually recruit and retain a better workforce is sort of a key thing that we need to do.
How do we do that? What would you do? Let's start in the 2nd District, and I'm sure you're aware of the big student housing project on the board for Cabrillo, and then some of the rezoning parcels within the 2nd District. How would you craft in affordable housing within the 2nd District?
Well, the good news, well, I don't know if it's good news. I'm not sure if it's good news, but the news from the state via the required housing element. So every 8 years, we have something called a housing element that we are required to submit plans to the state for approval. And the state isn't fooling around anymore. So in the past, they would require counties to build a certain number of units both in the cities and in the unincorporated areas. And the cities and county would have to plan for that building. And if things didn't get built, they didn't get built. Now the state is saying, okay, enough. We know this is a huge problem, and we're going to start enforcing this building. And there's multiple ways they can do that, but one of the ways that they've posited is that they'll have something called, oh my God, I'm blanking on the name now. They'll have something called a builder's remedy. I think that's what it's called.
Yes.
Where if there has been a parcel that's been identified and is not built in the time frame needed, like a developer can swoop in and just do whatever they want within reason. So that's one way of enforcing. But in the unincorporated area, all over the county, we're going to be required to build nearly 5,000 units of housing, much of it affordable and moderate. All different levels of affordability, really. Some market rate, but a lot of affordable housing. So, I'm really looking forward to that going in. In the Pajaro Valley, on the board, we also have a plan to build workforce housing because we are having such difficulty recruiting and retaining teachers in our district. And so we thought if we put in, I think we're slated to put in somewhere between 75 and 100 units of housing. And we've already located the campus and, drawn up some plans, et cetera. So, so some of the ways I think the county could help with this is I think the county has tremendous amounts of, I don't know if you would call it surplus because a lot of it's parking lots, but giant areas that could be devoted to affordable housing or workforce housing, one or the other. And so I think that's where you start is by turning over a lot of that land so that we could build housing. Mm-hmm. Did that answer your question, Becky?
Yeah, yes, it does. It does. And I'm happy to hear that you're very familiar with regional housing number allocation, RENA, that the AMBAG, the Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments, imposes upon all of the jurisdictions within Santa Cruz and Monterey counties, and San Benito too.
Yeah.
So it's a big stick they're carrying this time, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is. Well, we have a tremendous homeless population, and they need housing too. And one of the reasons that we do have a population that's so large is because we have nowhere to put people. Mm-hmm. And so to the extent that the governor is, advocating clearing out encampments, et cetera, and forcing all jurisdictions to build out more housing so that we have places where people can live safely. I do think that's good. We need to do it.
Yeah. Traditionally, the 2nd District has pushed back a lot on affordable housing projects, but I certainly think there's room for those kinds of housing opportunities for everybody, and that if it's properly managed, like Aptos Blue across from Safeway in Aptos, that's very well managed, and I know it had a lot of pushback in the beginning, so hopefully we can hold that up as a good example, as well as the others over on the other side. I think that's a beautiful example. I know families and children that have lived in there, and I've placed people actually there. The wait list, the unfortunate thing is that there's not enough. So there's just, wait lists that are like 2 years long to get into any of these places. And, the other thing I would like to sink my teeth into a little bit is we've got a lot of seniors, living in single-family homes. And, the Humboldt County is doing this very innovative pilot right now where they're building out like a senior village that has steps up in care, and it's a nonprofit, so it's not from a for-profit company, and people up there can buy in, and you become part of you can live there, you can live in your own little cottage or an apartment. A lot of it's affordable,
And if you need more care, then there's an assisted living there. And if you need more care, there's a skilled nursing facility there. It's just a really beautiful model, and I'd like to see us build something like that here, because the one thing that I've seen in my work as a social worker, going out into people's homes and trying to help them with resources, is that there's a lot of very lonesome people in our county. And because of HIPAA, like, I can't introduce them to each other, even though I'd like to. But I just noticed that some people are so isolated in their homes, and they would do so well if they were in a location where they could socialize and have friends and activities and that kind of thing. So anyway, I'd like to see something like that built.
That sounds like a good plan. For those of you who are just joining, welcome. This is Community Matters with we're honored to have here with us via telephone. She's taking a break from her work, Ms. Kim DeSerpa. She's one of the two candidates for District 2 county supervisors. So, Kim, again, thank you for being here with us. Are you okay taking a little more time to stay on until maybe 3? Yeah,
that's great. No problem.
Excellent. All right. There may be some callers. Are you okay with people calling in, or?
Sure.
I think I can. You'll have to excuse me. I'm really not good at technology, and I'm still learning all of this. So I'm hoping that I can take calls and not drop you. So we'll keep that up. But if people want to call, yeah, indeed, and toes. If people do want to call in and ask questions of Second County Supervisor District candidate Kim DeSerpa, please feel free to call in. The number is 265-5050. Thank you, Kim. One of the big hot buttons for discussion that we've had on Community Matters is the rail trail. And it's a big issue, as you know. What are your thoughts on the rail trail corridor?
Well, so, dear friends of mine are John and Teresa Leopold, and I know how hard it was, and sort of the behind-the-scenes story of how hard it was to acquire that rail line. So I want to thank John for all the work putting that together. I think if we can afford it, I've always said that if we can afford a rail, that I would support that. I would vote yes on that. I just am worried that the county can't afford it. And Becky, you know as well as I do that the county can't meet the very basic needs right now of its citizenry in terms of the infrastructure needed to keep people safe. So I just don't understand how we're going to be able to pencil out the cost of a rail line. The other thing that I worry about is that if we were trying to, mitigate climate change or carbon footprint, et cetera, by having kind of a clean rail line, I don't understand why it wasn't planned more along the Highway 1 corridor, along where people work. A rail line that runs along the coast is really nowhere near where anybody works. So like if people were going from Watsonville, and let's say they work at UCSC, the rail line's going to end like around the boardwalk or, somewhere around there. And then they're going to have to and that's going to take about an hour, right, to get up there. And then they're going to have to get off, get on another bus, and head to wherever they're going, whether it be Dominican Hospital or UCSC or whatever. I just don't see people wanting to do that. That's a tremendous amount of time, and it's not convenient. So I have just question marks about the whole plan. But it's so expensive to restore the trestles and build new bridges and worry about the crumbling coastline near Manresa and La Selva. Like I have so many questions about how the whole thing is going to work. The other thing is, there's so many people that want to get out on their bikes and be able to have a safe path to ride on or to walk on, just with strollers or young children. People want to be able to get out and move their bodies. in safety. And it just seems like people have been arguing about this issue vitriolically for so long.
I know.
That I would like to see a trail go down sometime in my lifetime. Like, I don't want to wait for 3 more decades to build out, everything together. If there's a way the trail could go down right now, I think we should do that.
And
so that's kind of how I feel about things. I'm looking forward to the January report.
Yes, indeed. Are you able to listen in on the Regional Transportation Commission meetings at all?
Sure. Yeah. When I have time. I mean, I'm in the hospital, 10 hours a day or more.
Wow.
But I try to go back and, take a look at the agendas and, see that kind of thing. And I do a lot of reading.
Yeah. I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe that the community television records and posts the Regional Transportation Commission meetings on their website. You can find it it's called Government on Demand. And if you enter that as a search term with community television, you'll find recorded meetings of many local agencies. It's very helpful.
Thank you, Becky. That's great. It's called Government on Demand.
Government on Demand. And it is a feature of Santa Cruz Community Television.
That's great. One of the things I like about actually watching the videos is I get to rewind things.
Yes.
So if I didn't quite hear what they said, or I didn't understand it, or I want to hear it again so I can grasp what people are saying better, I like to be able to go back and rewind and listen. So
exactly.
And I do appreciate the questions that you ask on the microphone. So thank you for your participation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's an honor coming from you. I appreciate that. Well, the thing I like about listening to those recordings and watching the videos, you learn a lot more about what was really said and the interactions that do not get recorded in minutes of meetings. So it's really great to be able to go back and look at those. And they're archived, so you can go back and listen, last year when they were talking about something. Yesterday, the Regional Transportation Commission discussed they call it the Zero Emission Passenger Rail Project, and they were just giving an update that they've had a study going on that, as you said, will be out and completed in January, I think you said. And they've also had a number of community open houses and surveys. And the piece that we need to keep an eye on is some people really wanted light rail, but that is not compatible with freight service, which is very critical to Watsonville businesses. That was pointed out by Watsonville City Councilwoman Ari Parker at a meeting I happened to go to. So just keep that in your mind. We need to advocate for things that help, that serve everybody. And if this plan goes forward, it should not be with light rail because of the need of the Watsonville businesses for freight service. There was also a very interesting discussion about the Segment 18 trail and where that should go. So if you're able to listen in on that recording, I think you would find that very interesting.
And Becky, where's the Segment 18?
It is in Watsonville, basically Lee Road to Green Valley Road area. And
well, I know, I'll just say I was really disappointed to see that they had, because I went to one of those RTC, show and tells. I don't know what they called it.
I saw you there.
Public comment.
Yes.
And I was super disappointed to see that they're going to try to take people off of the trail near, on the San Andreas Road corridor, which is, for those of us who spend a lot of time in South County, or Mid-County, South County, we know that is not a safe plan.
No.
Right? It's just not at all safe to put bikers, strollers, families onto San Andreas Road. There's people going 75 miles an hour down that road or faster.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway.
I agree with you on that, definitely. Well, speaking of safety, are you aware of the county's big plan, or actually it's LAFCO, Local Agency Formation Commission, their big plan to reorganize Santa Cruz County Fire Service? Are you familiar with that?
You know what, Becky? I wish I were more familiar with that. I have a date to meet somebody on the board of Central Fire, and we've been sort of playing phone tag around it because I wanted to sit down with him to hear like his perspective. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, I'm not super up on what the plan is. I mean, I did see the report from LAFCO, but I'm still a little curious about what the final plan will be.
Well,
Do you happen to know?
That was a huge report. The AP Triton Consultant report is 320 pages, is
right.
a lot to get through. I'm glad you're going to meet with Central Fire because they're poised to expand their jurisdiction by possibly bringing in the city of Santa Cruz, but also maybe annex some of the areas that are part of what is known as County Service Area 48, or CSA 48, the funding mechanism for emergency response to all areas of the county that are not currently within an independent fire district like Central, Boulder Creek, Pajaro Valley Fire District. So it encompasses all the rest of the county, and you probably pay for it too up in your area.
We do have an assessment.
Mm-hmm. So there are two of them, and so this study was to work out the feasibility of actually ultimately everybody all joining together. But to begin with, Pajaro Valley would get gobbled up by CSA 48 County Fire, possibly even Felton Fire. But there's just a lot of moving pieces right now within fire protection in the rural areas that I think we're going to see in the news a lot. The county Board of Supervisors voted to dissolve the county's Fire Department Advisory Commission. This month, in fact, September 18th, will be their final meeting. And there will be no citizen liaisons, no commissioners that will be officially on board to help guide anybody through this from the people's perspective. And that worries me a little bit.
Yeah, that seems like a mistake, doesn't it?
Yeah. So how would you get information like this as a county supervisor to your constituents? How would you do that?
Well, I think holding town hall meetings, doing regular newsletters, putting columns in the paper, seeing people one-on-one, just having people have more access, I think, to myself and my staff. I think, those are all good ways to get the word out.
Mm-hmm. So that's been an unfortunate thing that dropped off with COVID, is that there are no town hall meetings in the 2nd District. So would you...
Well, we would change that, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That would be a very good thing, because most people just can't attend meetings, and they don't even know they're happening a lot of times. So condensing the information and bringing it to the people who will be affected in a timely way is, I think, a real important part of a county supervisor's job. And
I think the use of social media today is much different than it has been in the past, and so those are also ways I think we could get the word out. But I really like hearing from people directly, one-on-one, and I know like the County Board of Supervisors, they hold their meetings in the morning, and so many people are working that there's no way they could really pay attention or get to a meeting like that, even if they're concerned about an issue.
Right.
So, definitely there needs to be a roadshow to hear what people have to say about, important issues.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good news to
Mm-hmm.
hear. Um, what do you think is going well? It's so easy to focus on things that like roads and water, things like that are not going so well. What would you do? What do you see as going well in the county?
We just have a tremendous amount of people that care deeply about others, deeply about the environment, deeply about climate change. I think there's a lot of very caring people who have big opinions on many things. I do see that the work being done to assist people with mental illness and home and people that are unhoused. I see that work as being highly successful, and it needs to continue. We need to house people and provide them with supportive case management so they stay housed. So I think those things are going well. Mm-hmm. I think we had during the COVID era, we had a great deal of work being done out of the public health department, which was unparalleled. They did a great job. I think we have a lot of very, very caring medical staff here in our county that are unfortunately shouldering a huge burden because with the retirements of older doctors, it's very, very hard to recruit new physicians to our county based on our rural designation and how expensive it is to live here. So it's really hard to recruit new staff. And so our existing doctors are really shouldering a tremendous burden in taking care of our citizens. But so I want to say hats off to them. I feel like we have wonderful schools, caring teachers. I think that's all going well. I think that, at least from my perspective, we try to...
Well,
hello?
I think we have a caller here, Kim.
Oh, great.
You want to finish your thought, and then we'll...
No, I just think that we try to give the highest salaries possible and preserve benefits, so I feel like we've done a great job doing that in the Pajaro Valley.
Mm-hmm. I think I might have lost the call. Let me see if they'll call back.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, caller. I'm so sorry. So, in your perspective...
Hi,
there you are.
Sal.
Hi.
Leave me a message and I'll call you back as soon as I can. Thanks.
I think... Well... Sorry.
I
think I hit the callback button, and so I called them back. Caller with the last four numbers 4601. Please call back, and I'm really sorry. We'll try to get you on the air. We've got about 10 minutes left. If anybody else wants to call in, please do. You're listening to Community Matters with your host Becky Steinbruner, and we've got Kim DeSerpa, one of the two candidates for 2nd District County Supervisor, here with us via telephone today. She's taken a break during her job, so she's not only running for County Supervisor, which is a big effort, but also keeping down a full-time job and keeping your job on the Pajaro Valley Unified School District Board, too. That's huge. You're busy.
I'm busy.
So... You recognize the value of the people, the creative resource, the expertise of the people as being one of the best things happening in our county. And what else do you see that you're really happy with that the county supervisors have done?
Well, Zach Friend did an incredible job shoring up all of the federal agencies to repair the levee. And that's been a multi-year process, and unfortunately the levee spilled over on the Monterey County side, but he did a tremendous amount of work to bring those county agencies together so that we could ensure that there's safety there on both sides of the levee. So that's to come. Some of it started already, but the big lift on that is still coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. And I know one of Zach's staff members unlocked some FEMA money recently. I think it was something like $24 million came into the county that was owed to us. So we want to thank Allison Violante for that work.
Yes. She did that work.
Yeah.
He gets the credit, but she did the work.
Yeah, right. So, I just want to sort of continue a lot of those good works. I do feel like the rural area has been sort of neglected and forgotten in part. And I think that's because, the city of Capitola, the city of Watsonville, the city of Santa Cruz, they all have representation by their city councils. And really, this second district supervisor is really the only representative for the second district, which is very large. I think it's about 55,000 people in its population. So,
well, it's really an honor to have you here. I'm really glad you're running.
Thanks, Becky.
And what have you learned in running for county supervisor?
Well, I think the best part of running is just the people that I've gotten to meet and gotten to know more closely. Some people I knew a little bit, but I didn't really know how deeply they felt about certain issues. And so getting out, I have just been doing every weekend a couple of meet and greets. Just the wonderful, wonderful professional people that I'm meeting that have great ideas, that are, deeply invested in making our community a better place has been the best part of the campaign so far.
Mm-hmm. How do we find out more about some of those meet and greets, or where you are going to be in a forum? And is there a forum?
Yeah, I have a wonderful website. It's kimdeserpa.com. It's pretty easy. There you can see all the people that have endorsed me. I think I have close to 550 endorsements, and about 3/4 of those are from District 2. Mm-hmm. So I feel very well supported within District 2. That people have confidence in my ability to lead has been humbling, and I'm very grateful for that support. But I feel very proud of that. The truth is we have two great candidates running. When Zach was elected and Ellen Peary was elected, both, well-qualified people, but neither one had ever governed before. They had never been elected to an office before. And, what I'll say about this time is you've got two women running that have been elected for years, right? So I've been elected for 14 years, double that of my opponent. And although I don't have direct municipal experience, I actually think that's a benefit for me and for the county and for District 2, frankly, because it won't be the same old. I have a fresh perspective that I'll bring. And as I'm researching and learning all the things I'll need to know about municipal governance in the county, I'll just have a different set of eyes. It won't be the same old stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to sinking my teeth into issues that I care about, about senior citizens. The current Board of Supervisors defunded a lot of senior serving agencies, including the Ombudsman, which, investigates complaints of abuse and neglect in nursing homes and assisted livings, and that was a mistake. So I'm looking forward to getting in there, trying to put that all back in order, making sure, basic needs services like Meals on Wheels has funding to move their programs forward in the ways that they need to. I'll be the only sitting supervisor that has any background in mental health, social services, healthcare, people that are unhoused. The fentanyl crisis is really, something that I'm addressing here at Salinas Valley Memorial. We've had I've built a program 3 years ago to have substance use navigators in our emergency department from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. so that we could receive people that are struggling with substance use and try to get them the services that they need right away. So these are all things that are areas of expertise for me, and I don't think almost 65% of the budget, I believe, is in social services and healthcare.
Yes.
In the county in some way. And I'll be the only one, I think, ever that has the background and the expertise in those areas. So I'm really looking forward to sinking my teeth into, a lot of those issues.
That's a valuable perspective to bring to a group. And as you say, that's a lot of what they manage, the budget for health and human services, even the law enforcement budget blends into that focused intervention and things like that. So that would be great to have somebody that understands that with boots on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess what I'll say, too, about law enforcement is that, I started my career in public child welfare, and I worked right alongside law enforcement to investigate sex crimes against children and just all kinds of different criminal behavior. And I have a very big respect for our law enforcement partners because they see things that are just absolutely unspeakable. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, I'll leave it there.
You bring up just now a topic that I've been made aware of is that California is the number one place of human trafficking going on, and Santa Cruz County is the highest in the state of California.
Yeah, isn't that hard to believe since we're such a small county?
It is. I've met with someone from the Aruca Project. Are you familiar with that group?
No, I haven't heard that name.
Look them up. It's an amazing group, and they are there to help the people who are trying to get out, to help get them out, and to get them to a safe place and help them get their feet on the ground again. It's a good group.
Can you spell that for me, Becky?
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Aruca, Arukah. It's something for, it's got a very interesting meaning, but I can't remember it right now. But it is based here in Santa Cruz County, and the need is great to try to get law enforcement to do what they can more because it is a big, big problem here.
Yeah. I've trained my staff here in the hospital. I've got 12 social workers that, work here around the clock, and we've all had training in human trafficking, and we have helped a number of women through the emergency department. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. Thank you for that good work.
Well, of course.
We're down to about our last 2 minutes, Kim. The time has flown by. My apologies to the caller who tried to get in. I'm very sorry. I'm not good at technology, but feel free to call in another time. Kim, in our last couple of minutes, what would you like to say to our listening audience?
Well, I guess I would let people know that not only am I a very nice and compassionate person, I have a lot of life experience. I'm 20 years older than my opponent. I have a blended family of 6 children. I've raised foster kids. I've been a foster parent. And I'm a homeowner, so I really understand. I know that Kris Kirby's on next, and she's going to talk probably a bit about bonds and that kind of thing. But it's going to be, those bonds are going to cost a lot for the average homeowner, especially those on fixed income. So I understand those things. I have been boots on the ground, as you said, for the last 25 years, mostly in Santa Cruz County, actually helping people mitigate risk and get healthy and be well. And I've done a great job of helping many, many people have better lives. So I know how the policies really affect real people on the ground. And that's the kind of perspective I'll bring to the board. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Kim DeSerpa, thank you for taking time today to join us here on Community Matters. And give us your website one more time so we can contact you.
KimDeSerpa.com.
Can you spell that, please?
Yeah, KimDeserP like Paul, A.com.
Excellent. Thank you. And do you have a forum coming up?
I think we have a couple of forums upcoming. I think the Mid-County Dems are having a forum. I'm making a presentation to the Aptos Chamber of Commerce luncheon upcoming. And I think that's it for now.
Okay. Well, that's a lot. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Becky. Yeah, I appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.
You as well. Bye. And welcome back to Community Matters. This is your host, Becky Steinbrunner, and I have with me in the studio now, transitioning to another great community activist, Kris Kirby. Kris, you want to do a check on your microphone here for me, please?
Hi, Becky.
Okay, I don't know if that came through. Try again, please.
Hello, good afternoon.
I'm not sure. Try one more time.
Hello, I am here.
That was the one. Okay.
All right, good.
There are so many microphones plugged in here.
Well, the technology is not that easy for us that don't do this stuff all the time.
Oh, boy. You can say that again. All right. Very good. Well, Kris Kirby, thank you for joining me here in the studio.
Thank you for having me. I haven't been on in a while.
Yeah, you used to have your own show.
Yeah, with Kristen, and we just took a break, and it's kind of nice to be here. There's a beautiful new studio.
This is. We are in a great, let me just do a bit of a commercial here for our workspace. This is Satellite Work and Digital Media Center at 325 SoCal Avenue in Santa Cruz. It's between Ocean Street and the river. And it is a wonderful facility that you can come check out the first Friday of every month, and that's today, is free working here at Satellite, and you can come try it out. They've got all kinds of different work areas, open space where you can work communally, or small rooms where you can have more privacy, meet with others, and if you want, you can rent it by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month, and it is a really nice place and very, very secure, too. So come check it out. Satellite Workspace and Digital Media Center. It's free today. We just had a caller that hung up. Darn. Well, try again, caller, and I'm so sorry. I'll try to watch a little more. All right, Kris Kirby, tell us who you are and what you're up to these days.
Oh, that's interesting. So I've lived in Aptos for 27 years, raised 4 sons there that are all grown adults now, and was very involved with sports, and I have a business in Aptos. I make signs, and just been involved in what's going on around there. How can you not when you have children and a business? We're going down the next chapter of our lives, and we're moving.
Boo-hoo.
I know, it's weird. Trust me, it's weird. We're moving in less than 2 weeks to Oregon, and I'm going to retire. I have a really great young man that's buying my business, and he's learning as fast as his little brain will work. I'm sure I'll be on the phone with him every day helping him, but it's good. My husband's still going to work remotely from up there, and we're buying a great house. We're selling our house. It's a huge transition, but I mean, honestly, this county drives me crazy. Mm-hmm. The state drives me crazier, and I just can't take it. That's not the only reason we're moving, but those were huge reasons why. I mean, I was born and raised. I grew up in Saratoga. Lived over here for 27 years, and I love this area. I have 3 grown sons that live here. I have one that lives in Texas, and it's real difficult to leave, but I can't take it anymore. Mm-hmm. The cost is one thing. I mean, gas is well over $1 less a gallon. There's no sales tax. The property taxes, I've been told, are less. Just the cost of living is less. This state is really screwing us all over, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We're selling our house, so we'll never be able to come back, which that makes me sad.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens.
It will be a good move for you. Trust that. Just keep seeing yourself on the river.
Yeah, we have a house on the Rogue River, and if anybody's listened to me before, I have a Great Dane puppy who's now 21 months almost, and she is going to be so happy.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's going to be great. Well, what do you want to talk with us today about? You have been such a political mover and shaker in this county for a long time.
Well,
and
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Ran for the Soquel Creek Water District Board. You've been in the thick of a lot of things. So what do you want to talk with us today about?
Well, just these different bonds and things that are on our ballot. I'm still going to vote here, I guess. I don't know if I have enough time to switch over. Some people came in today. They want some signs for this SLV Water District Measure U.
Mm-hmm.
They want it. They want Measure U, yes on you. It's to have equitable rates for everybody. I mean, all these bonds and measures, I don't understand where they think most of our citizens are just going to come up with all this extra money. One lady Deb came in my office just a bit ago, and we were talking about this Measure U. And she said she was at a Democratic meeting the other night, and that I've gone to, Becky and I have gone to, and I feel so out of place there. But anyways, this lady says, I support everything that they're voting for, but where am I going to come up with the extra $900 a year to pay for them all?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in theory, maybe some of them sound good to some people, but where are a lot of these people on fixed incomes going to come up with more money?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to always tell my boys, I raised 4 sons, my money tree just isn't producing. Where do a lot of people are on fixed incomes? You and I were out getting signatures against Soquel Creek Water new rates that they've implemented, and so many people on fixed incomes. We're talking about that they can't take a shower every day. I mean, that just breaks my heart.
Because they can't afford the water.
Yeah, they can't afford it.
And now they changed, the Soquel Creek Water District Board changed that, so now the rate increase is the fixed fee. So you cannot conserve your way out of that rate increase.
So yeah, the people that were conserving, they can't, it does no good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, well, that's the same thing they're doing with you.
And that's what prompted Measure U to come about. The people, the ratepayers, got together and they got a petition. They got it qualified with enough people signing, and they did it all themselves. And it is to limit. Would it roll back the most recent rate increases and cap it, I believe?
Yeah, I'm not. She just handed me this paperwork, but just talking to her, it made sense to vote yes on you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to pay and use tons of water every day and you can afford it, go to town. But these people that cannot afford it, there's no getting out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine not taking it. I'll do it. We go camping a lot in our travel trailer. Like last weekend, we actually camped 2 nights, and I didn't take a shower the whole time. Oh my God, I couldn't imagine living like that the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I sponge bath, but I never actually, got in, and I can't imagine. I don't know. So I'm just tired of them thinking people can produce more and more money. There's a bond, and I know Kim DeSerpa was just talking about Pajaro Valley Unified School District's new bond is $315 million to construct and reconstruct school facilities. And I agree, the schools are in horrible shape. But as a homeowner, you need a new roof. You plan for that. I don't just go stand out on the corner and beg for people for money.
Mm-hmm.
Beg from people for money. It just seems like they're not planning for what is inevitable when you own properties and have things happening. They can't keep coming back to the homeowners. There's already 3 Pajaro Valley bonds on our property taxes. Mine, just for that one school district, is $371.52 a year. Then the Cabrillo has $133.66. I mean, that extra $500 matters to a lot of people.
Yes.
It adds up.
Yes.
And they want more and more and more. My husband was actually on one of the bond oversight committees years ago, and he's an accountant, he's a CPA, he's a financial guy, so he gets it more than most people do. he stopped going because it was pointless. They say, "Oh, we have a bond oversight committee." That means nothing. They just schmooze the people, and most of them don't even know what it means. I mean, he felt like they wouldn't give him the important information. He's like, "This is a complete waste of my time."
Interesting.
Yeah. That was, I don't know, maybe 18 years ago. It was a while ago. Hopefully it's changed. And now PVUSD wants to get into housing for teachers. That seems crazy to me. I personally think that they're not doing the best job possible teaching our children, and that's probably up for debate. But how are they landlords and ready to do housing for teachers? Just pay our darn teachers a living wage and maybe cut money at the top and get rid of a lot of administrators. I'm sure there's some thinning out they can do. And let's pay our teachers a living wage. The school districts should not be involved in housing. Yeah. Just like Cabrillo is going to build that housing for Cabrillo and UCSC students. Teachers. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, Kris, we've got a caller. Do you want to talk with him?
Sure, of course.
Okay. All righty. Caller, can you hear us? Oh.
I can hear you. Thank you.
Hello.
Excellent. You're on the line on Community Matters with Kris Kirby and Becky Steinbruner. Welcome to Community Matters. What do you think about all this?
I think it's great. I just want you to know that.
This is a familiar voice. Is this Jeff?
Freedom Forum. And I heard the first hour of the program. Great to hear you and Kris. But I wanted to thank Kris especially for getting you and me started in this radio stuff. Way back when. We started trying to go to KSCO. Didn't work. And here we all are having a wonderful time on Santa Cruz Voice.
Well, good. No
thank
problem.
Thank you, Becky, for getting me into this, too.
Oh, yeah. That's been great fun. And you've got your own program on Mondays now, right, at 1 o'clock?
I do. It's called Freedom Forum. And we were set up to have it done without me being there this week because I'll be in Los Angeles.
Oh.
But it couldn't work out, so it's just going to be a repeat program from our first one back on what was it, August 5. And my guest then was Mr. Vernon Bohr. Vernon. Wonderful time.
So Jeff, what do you feel about all these bonds and more money out of your pocket?
Oh, I always love to see money go out of my pocket just like everyone else. But in relate to your first hour today, getting things designated on bond issues to get things done is a great idea, and we all agreed that the roads need work. Lots of work here.
Well, yeah, I think that they need to look at money differently and plan for these things and cut back on a ton of benefits that's just costing us money. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of other solutions than just keep putting their hand out asking for more and more and more.
Yeah, as most property owners believe that the property taxes are going to things that relate to the property and it'll fund whatever we need. That's not the case.
Yeah.
We don't like the bond issues, but for the right things and if they have the right kind of supervision, which like Measure Q doesn't, then we don't like it.
Right. So the Pajaro School District bond is Measure M, as in madness.
That's a good way to put it.
But Jeff, you and Kris are both making a lot of sense in that, okay, you've got this money, work out a plan for how it's going to be spent, work out a plan for what you have is going to be spent, and prioritize projects. I don't see that happening at the county. I listened to their presentation of the strategic plan. They had a 5-year strategic plan, and you know what their main measurable goal that they met was? After COVID, they were able to get 90% of the people on Medi-Cal re-enrolled. That was it. That was their big success. And it is an important thing, but they never talked about, well, we fixed or replaced X miles of road. We replaced 3 failing culverts in evacuation routes. They they didn't talk about any of that. That was their big accomplishment. And I sat back and thought, my goodness, what's going on here?
Well, when you and I went through the first round of interviewing potential candidates for all of these offices, and I think you too, were looking specifically for what we call fiscal conservatives.
Yeah.
People who would take charge of the money and use it properly and usefully to our benefit. And it's hard to find that kind of a commitment.
Yeah. When you've got a bunch of people involved. Well, Kris, what do you have to say about some other bond measures? Do you have more information for us? And Jeff, do you want to hang on the line, or do you want to drop off and listen some more and call back?
Oh, I'm going to keep listening offline. I just wanted to, since you've got Kris there, I don't run into her every day. I wanted to thank her. She does a whole lot for our radio sessions.
She certainly does.
Under the cover, we don't see it.
Well, I think everybody does a lot. And we're doing some shirts right now. Santa Cruz Voice is going to be out at the fair.
That's right.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun thing. So people need to come by and say hi. Well, thanks, Jeff, very much.
It's like
thanks for
the
calling.
old days when, Charles Friedman was out there mostly, tracking people down and getting them to come and talk on the radio.
Yeah, I've done it
we'll
a
be
few
out
years.
there
It's fun.
Starting Wednesday.
Good.
All right. Thanks for calling, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Take care.
Well, you're doing great. Keep it up on both of you.
Thank you. Take care. Call back later if you want. Bye.
So, there's lots of bonds. There's one for Central Fire District, and, nobody's against fire districts. But $221 million bond to construct, reconstruct, or improve outdated fire stations in Soquel, Capitola, and La Selva Beach, including acquiring land, constructing a new fire station, training facility, construct and reconstruct, relocate. Just all kinds. It's like a huge wish list. I wish I had a wish list bond. Mine would be a lot smaller in the dollar figure, but it's just a ton of money. So $221 million is going to turn into $470 million.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to cost in the long run. The PVUSD's bond is $315 million. It's going to turn into $556 million. That's a lot of money and interest.
Yeah.
That we, the taxpayers, get to pay for.
I know.
Just the zeros involved, and I don't know. I really feel for people on fixed incomes that they don't have an extra $100 or $400 or $500 or $800 a year to pay for this stuff. I don't know. I don't know what happened to. I was raised by a Republican father who he knew to plan for roofs or for having our driveway repaved or asphalted or whatever they do to it. You plan for that stuff, and I don't understand.
Yeah. Kris, we've got another caller on. You want to talk with them?
Sure.
All right. Hello, caller. Can you hear us?
Hey, Becky, David here. How are you doing?
I hear you. This is Bill. Do you hear me?
Oh, I hear two. I hear two of you, Bill and David.
How did that happen?
She answered both calls. She answered both calls. Hey, could you, Becky? Could you kick up the volume a little bit on the callers? It's a little light.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Why don't you talk now and see if it sounds better?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be better if you just bring it up 15% or something, and 20% would be good.
Okay, thank you.
So, Bill, why don't you go ahead? If you called first, go ahead, Bill. I'll tag in behind you.
Okay, mine's real brief, and then I'll get off. No one's better than you two women at getting things turned around, taking signatures, getting people worked up to get something done. I've got one last project for you. Will you take it on?
It depends. What is it?
It's keep Kris and Mark in California.
Sorry, that ship is almost sailed. I know. You're welcome to come up and come fishing on the Rogue River with us.
Well,
I appreciate that. Okay, I'll live with it the way things were. Just thought I'd take a stab.
You're
all right,
so
thanks
sweet.
for taking my call. And you can get to David.
Good to hear from
you know what, Bill? I think we ought to invite Kris to join us from Oregon and give us an update on
how different things are?
How it is? Was it a good move? What would she say to someone wanting to get out of Dodge here in California? What do you think?
I can do that. That's a great idea.
Okay, we'll do that.
Good idea.
Bill,
Yeah,
good
excellent.
to hear from you.
All right. Good show. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I think that's a great idea, because maybe I'm completely going to be disillusioned. I don't know, but I'm on some Facebook pages for the area we're moving to, and they're doing a Trump boat rally on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
I said, "Oh, my people! I won't be there
Good
for
luck with that here.
I know I won't be here. I won't be there for it. But I'm like, oh, I think I might have found my people.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I'm a Republican, so it's those people.
Well, I think you should do a California show in exile. I think that'd be just a great show if you guys brought Elephant back doing that.
Well, it's tough because Kristen is mostly in Arizona nowadays, so it would be remote. I guess we could. We'll see. Maybe we'll both have.
So we do it. We do it. Yeah, we do it with Zoom. It works perfect.
Oh.
Well, then maybe we will, because we have lots to say. She'll call me. She called me the day. She's like, oh, she took an Uber driver from San Jose over to her house in Scotts Valley, and it was an illegal immigrant from Venezuela driving her. She says, I wish we had a show. She says, I have a lot to talk about with this guy. And,
Wow.
How did he get a driver's license?
I can get you.
How did he get a card?
I can get you. Yeah, exactly. Well, like they all do. They just melt into the woodwork. The voting's on the honor system.
Oh, God.
Arizona, they had 40. So in Arizona, you can register to vote without an ID for the federal election, but you have to have an ID for anything that's state or local. And so they've got this discrepancy. They've got 40,000 ballots that are for federal only in Arizona.
Wow.
Trump lost that state by half of that.
Yeah, what is going on? That stuff makes zero sense to me. All right, so I'll talk to Kris, and we'll be back and do ours, because I'll have time now. If I'm not working, I'll have time.
That will be great.
Yeah, I can hook you up. It's real easy.
All right,
fun.
we will take you up on that.
Nordic Dave, did you have something to say about bonds? We're talking about bonds on the ballot.
So I'm in the Central Fire District, and I'm not only going to vote no, but probably like a heck no. What always chaps my hide on these bonds is that they take money for all these lots of very controversial programs, gender transitions and lots of sketchy kind of homeless, things. And then they pay for that off the top first, and then they come back and go, oh, the kitty's really dry. You want your house not to burn down or the cops to show up if your wife's getting raped. Well, then you better, sign up for this bond measure.
Yeah.
Well,
and I would like to see it turned around. Why can't they guarantee potholes and public services as number one, first responders, and then want to have a bond for the other crap, right, that they spend money on?
Agreed. Well, on one of the flyers we got in the mail for the Central Fire, they had a picture of a firehouse being flooded. And it turned out to be the Capitola. They made it look like, natural disasters are flooding this one firehouse. Well, it was the Capitola firehouse, and it was flooded because Capitola didn't, the drains and the pipes were all clogged up. They hadn't, I don't know what they do, clean them out for a long time. So the picture was totally deceiving, and it wasn't what they were saying had happened.
Wow.
That irks me.
Yeah.
So, I agree with you. So, we're going to talk about a few more of these bonds. So, thank you for calling, and we will bring back the elephant in the room, and we'll do it again.
That'll be great.
Yeah, it's a good show. I miss having you guys live.
Thank you. Yeah. We enjoyed it, and we're missing it, especially when we call each other like, we got to get back on the radio. There's too much to talk about.
Because Becky does such a valuable job at this local and county level, and I thought you'd always did a great job at the state level.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We had all the candidates who were running last time on our show, even the guy that was running against Newsom. Did you hear that Newsom actually vetoed the $150,000 to illegals today?
That's good news.
I know. I'm like, maybe. Well, is he running for office? He vetoed it. I'm very proud of the jerk.
Oh, that is good news.
I don't think much of him, but there's got to be some other reason behind it. But he did the right thing.
It's one of those deals where he wins no matter what, right? They the party virtue signaled to this illegal voting base who's not supposed to be voting.
Right.
And yet he vetoes it, so he looks good, like he's a crusader for the middle class when he runs for president next term.
Right.
So he kind of gets it both ways, right?
Yep. But at least that was the right decision on that one.
Well, before you go, Nordic Dave, I want you to, you and the listeners, to understand why I think there's so many bond measures on the ballot this November. It's because there's also a state proposition that is on the ballot that will lower, if that is passed, that state proposition is passed, it will lower the necessary approval threshold to 55% for all bonds that are on the November 5th ballot. And let me tell you, Central Fire is banking on that, and so is Scotts Valley Fire. That's why they have come to the trough in hordes like this, because they are all counting that people will not read the fine print of this constitutional amendment that is a state proposition. I had them printed out, ready to print out at the library to bring, and the library's printer didn't work. So, but look it up. California State Propositions, November 5th ballot, and you'll see it there.
Is there a number?
I will.
Yes, I think it's number 5, Proposition 5.
I'll read it, because what irks me is like on Prop 19, where they wind up eviscerating Prop 13.
Yes.
They had, remember how many pages it was?
Yes.
And 75% of the paragraphs were all about, they're repetitive about, fire and natural disaster victims can rebuild without increasing taxes. And why? Sure. And I get it. I'm done reading. Then the last paragraph was about eviscerating Prop 13.
Yes.
So,
which is what it really was about.
Yeah, that's what it was really about, exactly.
So I'm encouraging people to start reading now. Learn all you can now.
Well, this Central Fire one, the arguments against it was written by the fire chiefs, so all the local fire chiefs. If they're against it, we should all be against it.
Well, I think the one for Central Fire was written by a member of the public, but Measure Q.
I'm talking about Q. I'm sorry. There's so many of them.
I know.
It's hard to keep them. The Land Trust, that's the one, the fire chiefs, because they say it's for water and wildfire protection, and it's really not about that.
No, it's too.
So if people they're too busy working because they got to pay all their taxes.
Yes.
Is it just safe to just vote a straight no across all of these things?
Well, no, not on you. They want yes on you, which is the SLV Water District Initiative.
Well, who wants yes? Is that a good yes or a bad yes?
Yes, that's a good yes.
That's a good yes. That was a great example of citizens, ratepayers, getting together and saying enough is enough, and they wrote the petition. They circulated it themselves as opposed to Measure Q. The Land Trust paid signature gatherers to go out and get all their signatures for them. Measure U is a good one, and we're hoping to have Bruce Holloway and maybe this lady Deb on our program so you can hear more about that. Measure U is a good one. It'll only be in the San Lorenzo Valley Water District area, but it's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always glued to your program, Becky.
Thank you.
You're getting the insights on this because you have to turn the rocks over with a heavy shovel to see what's underneath.
That's a good way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, Becky is so good on the community stuff because they're trying to pull things over our eyes right and left, and she's on it. It's I've learned so much. So I met Becky how many years ago? 12?
It was on a bond measure for Cabrillo College. And Measure G was it? Measure H.
I can't even remember. We fought these bonds and we've won. I mean, we've won with like $1,700 where they spent $275,000 to try to get things passed. And we are grassroots, and we have tried, and we've been successful.
And we have a third member of our Three Musketeers team who usually likes to remain anonymous, so I won't call her out by name, but it's been a lot of fun working together on
and getting to know each other and just fighting. Being out at the Cabrillo Farmers Market, and I hate it. Becky doesn't mind it so much. I hate doing it, getting in people's faces, but you have to. We were out at Deluxe, and these poor women, mostly women, On fixed incomes, they said, we can't take showers every day. That just, I don't know. I've lost my love for these big corporations. Today, Deb said that Ron Duncan is going to go and be their head person for, I know, SLV more than likely.
That's why he's retiring. Did you hear that, Nordic Dave?
So Ron Duncan,
yes.
who's the head guy at Soquel Creek Water, is leaving at the end of September. And I'm like, something's up. Something is up. Why would he leave Soquel Water before Pure Water Soquel was up and running? Unless something's wrong with it, which I totally disagree and hate it. I don't want to drink recycled poop water. But she told me today she's hearing that he's going to go run that.
That makes sense now.
You hadn't heard that?
No.
These people are slime balls. I mean, he's making almost $400,000 a year, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of money around here, where these people are trying to survive on, not that much. And he is just zinging people. And now he's going to go to SLV and turn that around because he's such a miracle worker.
I pity those people. I really do.
That's what she told me just before I came here. I went, oh, my God, it all makes sense. I knew there was some other reason he was quitting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So anyways, thank you, Dave, for calling, and we'll take your advice on the Zoom thing to teach us how to do that.
Yeah, we'll definitely let's connect, and I'll be glad to give you some help.
All right, thanks for calling.
Thank you so much.
Jack, you have the good work, you guys.
Thank you. Likewise. Yeah. Thank you. All right, take care.
It's a crazy world out there.
That's incredible. So, Ron,
did I just pull the rug out from underneath you? I'm sorry. But yeah.
Yes, you did. Well, maybe I'll have to.
He's such a. Oh, I can't stand him.
He's
one of his board members, when I was running for Soquel Creek Water, accosted me out in a parking lot, a dark parking lot, and thankfully my husband was there. He wasn't near me until I yelled for him to help me, but Bruce Daniels came at me with fists in fists, when someone's pounding their fists, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this old guy's gonna, he's got to be, 78? He's going to hit me in the face. I'm thinking, and he's coming at me saying some not so flattering things. And I thought, okay, I can take it. He's small. I can pound him to the ground after he hits me. But Mark got in between us and stopped him. And my husband called the board meeting one night later, and emailed Ron and all the board members saying, we need an apology for this behavior towards my wife. Didn't hear from any of them. None of them. So you tell me Ron Duncan's a good leader. He should have been the first one to call and say, I am so sorry. That'll never happen again. Not a peep.
Yeah. Well, I wish those people up in the San Lorenzo Valley good luck.
Yeah.
Let's get back to our measures and bonds here.
Okay,
this is concerning stuff.
So there's another one for Soquel Union Elementary School. It says it's only $73 million, but remember Soquel Union Elementary School is just elementary and a junior high or middle school. Yeah, that's it. It's very small, and that will be so $73 million will turn into $147 million that the people have to pay back.
Wow!
And they say, it'd only be $30 per 100 of assessed value. Well, yeah, when you add that on to the central fire, and you add that on to the land trust, and you add that on to it gets to be too much.
There are state propositions too
that are going to cost us money.
That are bonds. Yes, there's one for, I think it's affordable housing and lowering the vote approval threshold. That's Proposition 5. There's another one, I think Proposition 4, that is water and wildfire protection. So a lot like what Measure Q is here. That's what they say it would be anyway. So if the state ones all pass and the local ones all pass, good night. How will people be able to make it? My argument is we are already the most expensive place
in the
state to live. Why would we want to keep piling the burden of more taxes on those who are able to be here? It doesn't make sense.
It makes zeros. And renters.
Well,
and renters think, oh, it's not going to bother me. No. Your landlord he's either already raised your rent because they're trying to put a limit to that.
That's one of the propositions.
Yeah. He's already raised it because he's not going to be able to do it if that passes. I'm a landlord up in Chico. In fact, one of my places is empty, and it's so much less stressful to have to deal with tenants. It's easier just to pay for it. And we don't even live there. That's a whole other story. But
you should watch out for the empty house tax, Kris.
I haven't heard anything. Oh my gosh.
Oh yes, that was proposed in this county, actually, an empty house tax.
It's not up in Chico.
That's
I had squatters up there last year that's another thing. This is whole insurance scam now that we're buying a new house. Because I did a vandalism insurance claim on our rental property last year, our homeowners in our new state is going to be so expensive because I actually, heaven forbid, made a claim.
One claim.
And it was $40,000. These people trashed. They were throwing axes in my apartment. I mean, I had to replace all the cabinets, everything, the toilet, everything. It was really bad. And now our homeowners, even though we did get renewed here, and it wasn't that bad, it was an additional $800 a year. There's another thing. Everyone's insurance is going up so high.
Getting canceled.
Yeah, and getting canceled. We didn't get canceled, but it went up $800 a year, I think, maybe more. But now our new insurance at our new house is going to be very expensive because we happened to file a claim last year for the squatters.
That doesn't make sense. It wasn't your home. I mean, you own it, but it wasn't your fault.
And I tried to explain this. I mitigated the damages because we hired an attorney and evicted these people. If the guy that was there, living there, and trashed our apartment walked in, I couldn't tell you who he was. I don't know his name. I know nothing about the guy. But we did evict him and got it done within, 3 months. And then had to spend 2 months fixing the apartment back up, and then we sold the building. I said, I've had enough. But we still have one other place up there.
Wow.
But anyways, that's the things. How are people affording this?
Yeah. The problem here is that there are so many wealthy high-tech workers from over the hill.
And second homeowners.
I mean, the median income for this county, I think, is $130,000, and the poverty level is $105,000 a year.
I saw that. Deb showed it to me.
So, to me, I see the people who arrive at the county building at 701 Ocean Street at 3:00 every morning and do the janitorial. They're probably not making a lot of money. The farm workers,
I don't think those people are making $70,000 a year.
No. So to me, the median, then that means there are people that are making astronomical amounts of money, and that's okay. But they can't be thinking that everybody else has their pocketbook, and they're often the ones that vote for these all promising, sound good measures that will thrust the next generation into debt at a very economically uncertain time. And then this is an issue for me, the UCSC students that are allowed to vote. That's not right.
We had a pool table in our living room. I have 4 sons. It was well used, and we're not moving it. It was slate, so I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I ended up giving it to a kid named Devin. Well, he and his buddy Matthew came and picked it up, 2 UCSC students, which I was stoked that they were going to take it and use it as UCSC students. I mean, better that than be out at bars or whatever.
Yeah.
So I brought up voting, just asking them. And I said, so they were both from down south. I said, are you going to vote here? And they said, of course we are. I said, I'd really prefer you not. And they looked at me, and I said, think of it. You guys are only here for 2, 3, 4 years. You're not going to live here, are you? And he says, we can't afford it. I said, exactly. So I said, don't vote because you're impacting everyone else's futures, and you guys shouldn't have a say.
Right.
And they kind of looked at me. My husband's giving me the evil eye, like, shut up, don't talk about anything. But at least they heard what I said. I don't know what they'll do, but yeah, it makes zero sense that they should be able to vote here.
I agree. And there's no reason now that the state has an all-mail-in ballot
that they can't vote.
That they can't vote in their hometown.
Yeah.
So, I like to go out and observe voting stations. It used to be poll stations. Now it's vote centers, and they have one for many days up at UCSC. And I've gone up there to observe, and I see people who are like Measure Q. The land trust will be there, you can bet, handing out, here's your slate, and they hand it to them, and the students go up and they look at that paper, and that's how they vote.
Because they don't know the issues. They don't know the answers. They don't know what is right and what is wrong, or what the implication, what it's going to do to us. Yeah?
Yeah, well, they're not property owners themselves, likely. So, I try to put myself in their shoes, and when I was young, I think I had a lot of those same thoughts about the world. And as I've gotten older and met you, Kris, and really, it's really opened my eyes, and seeing, being a property owner, our family owns property, it's a different point of view.
Absolutely.
With life.
So these boys live in a house in West Santa Cruz, near the Circles, actually near where one of my sons lives. They pay $1,600 a month to share a bedroom.
Wow.
Can you imagine? That landlord, I don't know who owns the house, but one bedroom's bringing in $3,200. I think they said it had like 6 bedrooms. It was probably like a mini frat house or a mini whatever. $1,600 a bedroom to share.
Times 2, 1,600 times 2. That's
for
their
every
each
bedroom.
share. Wow.
Where I own a house in Chico that is usually college rented, and it's like $600 a room. Yeah. A room, not to share. Isn't it crazy?
It is crazy.
So I don't know. I'm just against all the extra costs that I don't understand where they think people are going to get this money from. I mean, if you make a boatload of money and want to pay and give the land trust a huge donation, feel free. Mm-hmm. If you want to give money to Central Fire for them, for their future, whatever, feel free. Same with Pajaro Valley School District. Go ahead, donate.
Yeah.
But making these people, put them in a tighter situation. I mean, Soquel Creek Water went up from, how much was their service charge? It was $30, and now it's 80 something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's $50 a month times 12. That's $600 extra a year just for that, and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Their service hasn't changed. Nothing has changed.
Well, their rates went up to pay for the Pure Water SoCal project.
Right.
And they said basin sustainability, which that's being legally challenged too, because you cannot charge people for a service they are not getting.
Yeah, it hasn't even opened yet, and they're charging us for it.
Right. It is not due to come online until March of next year.
Oh, it was January, now it's March.
Now it's March, yeah.
Well, and then there was a doctor who I actually saw out at the park when I had my Great Dane Daisy out there. He said, "You're the one that was out getting signatures." I said, "How do you?" So we saw him out in front of Deluxe Market, and he said, "Do not drink that water."
Yeah.
And I said, "Do you still feel strongly?" This was just like 2 months ago when we met with him at the beginning of the year. He says, "I feel even stronger. Don't drink that water."
That's what my doctor says too. Yeah.
I mean, you want to drink recycled poop water or recycled with drugs and whatever in it? No thanks.
The problem that I worry about with this is that they know they cannot get everything out. There is a list of 8 contaminants that are known they cannot get out, and they publish those, and it's silly things like caffeine, DEET, the insect repellent, sucralose, things like that. But there are some other very long chemical named. If they can't get that out, what else can't they get out that they don't even know exists? And the thing about the Pure Water SoCal project is that it will be allowed to degrade the high-quality water of the aquifer. The state has allowed that. And the project admit that it will degrade the water. It will inject 33 milligrams per liter of chloride in, and isn't that kind of like what they're trying to keep back, the seawater intrusion? And also it will inject about 1.7 milligrams of nitrate. Now, oddly enough, that number was magically halved when the state was looking at the project to give the permit approval. They found an inconsistency in the data of the Title 23 report and the final anti-degradation report, which was done only 1 month before the permit was going to be reviewed. They never showed any side-by-side, this is what we saw, this is why we changed it, nothing like that. It just magically lowered.
Interesting.
And so why is it being called pure water? It's not. It is not.
Well, that's Ron Duncan trying to pull a quick one off of, and it's people's health. I mean, how many people do you know have had cancer and breast cancer? And I don't know. I'm not keen.
Kris, I'm looking up Proposition 5 here. I've got the power of a computer here in front of me, and that's exactly what it is. California Proposition 5, lower the supermajority requirement to 55% for local bond measures to fund housing and public infrastructure amendment.
So if the state passes that, which hopefully they won't, because now it's 2/3?
Yes.
And then all these bonds wouldn't be eligible for that. It would be next time?
No. They would be eligible for it November 5th if this constitutional amendment, Proposition 5, passes.
On the same day?
On the same day.
Oh, my God. That seems slimy in itself.
And that's why we're seeing them all rushing to get their propositions for bond measures on the ballot.
With housing?
Yes. Well, infrastructure. So
it could be fixing the fences or whatever.
Yeah, it could be wildfire mitigation. It could be, if you look at Measure Q and the myriad of things they say that it will do, they threw in everything, and that's what the Fire Chiefs Association really does not like, is that it's being called the Clean Santa Cruz County Clean Water and Wildfire Mitigation Bond, but the chances of it really being any of that $7.3 million a year that will come from everybody paying forever. There's no ending to it. That's right. No senior exemptions, nothing. They will exempt. They do plan to exempt ag land and some timber land. This was all written up by the land trust. So the chances of that really funding anything to benefit the fire agencies and the work that they need to do is very, very slim. The county does not have a good track record. They promised in 2018 with Measure G they would do that. Zero money.
Zero, and that was their whole basis for the thing.
Oh, yes.
Where's that money gone to? Retirements?
It has gone largely to fund a new program the law enforcement started called Focused Intervention Team, trying to reduce recidivism. They haven't had great success with it. The biggest success has come from giving people a bus ticket home to go back to their family out of the county. It did go to finishing up Leo's Haven, that All Abilities Park in Chanticleer. So that was a good thing. But there were other ways they could have funded that, and they didn't have to say they were going to do wildfire things. That was a 12-year sales tax, so Measure G is going to sunset. But Measure K, the one passed kind of for the same things, road repair, wildfire response, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's basically being used to fund the debt of the county having to borrow $95 million to stay afloat.
Mismanagement in my eyes.
I think Kim DeSerpa had a good idea, not just have once a year reports on the budget. They do actually have a mid-year budget thing that the county administrative officer brings in. It used to be January. Lately it's been in March or April, right before budget. But I think Kim DeSerpa had a good idea, having it monthly, so that the supervisors and the public have a finger on the pulse of what's really going on.
Yeah, because a budget's a budget. I mean, I could tell my husband I'm going to live on a budget, and then, sorry, nope, went all to hell, sorry. But, it's just a guess.
Unanticipated expenses.
It's just a guess. Where,
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, I think monthly would be good. Yeah. I think Kim's the right person. Kristen Brown seems nice enough, but I don't like that her husband's on the planning commission. I think that's a huge conflict of interest, and I don't know how many people actually know that.
Is her husband Nicholas Brown?
I think so.
Yeah, he's the I get notices for the planning commission meetings from Nicholas Brown. But
isn't that a conflict of interest if your wife is a supervisor and you work for the planning department?
It seems like it would be to me.
And her being on 15 commissions means, I think it's a negative. Because there is no way you could do, being on 4 of them would be a lot of work. And knowing your information, and she thinks it's great being on 15, how many of those does she get paid for?
I think they get a stipend for each meeting they go to. Yeah. Hey, Kris, we've got 2 minutes. What do you want to tell our audience? Thank you so much for coming in, Kris Kirby.
I appreciate everything you're doing. I don't know. I feel bad leaving, but I've had enough. It's time. I turned 65 in July, and it's time to just live our life for us, I guess. My husband's still going to be working, but I hope you come see us up there.
I will do my best,
and we'll do a report. We'll have me on, and I'll let you know how I feel.
The California expats.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. I never thought I'd leave.
Well, I grew up in Oregon, and I grew up in Eastern Oregon in the farm area. It's a lot different than that. But the part of Oregon you're going to, I think you're going to find your people, and that will be really fun for you. Yeah. I'm going to miss you a lot. A lot of people here are going to miss you, Kris Kirby, but I think it's a good choice for you and your family, and you'll do well.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? But thank you.
Yeah.
You make me cry.
Oh, don't cry. We'll come help you pack. We'll come take you out to dinner, and you're going to do well. We wish you all the best, and thank you so much for all you do.
No, thank you. You're the voice. I'm proud that you're doing this.
Oh, it's an honor to get to know people like you and to share the airwaves with these wonderful listeners out there. This is Becky Steinbrunner. Thank you, Kris Kirby, for joining us in the studio, and many thanks to Kim DeSerpa joining us in the first hour. Kim DeSerpa, one of the 2 candidates for District 2. Next week, we'll be broadcasting live from the Santa Cruz County Fair, so join us out there. Come bet on your favorite pig and racing and whatever you enjoy out at the Santa Cruz County Fair. We'll see you then, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us today. So long. Oh, now I have to remember how to shut this down.
Hello. How are you?
I think I'm mostly full.